What's up, folks? This is Crypto with James talking to you today about the algorithmic stablecoins. We've seen a ton depeg recently, and why? And we're going to talk about why, and not just that, really. We're going to actually look at why we're in search of the algorithmic stablecoin and why we continue to be pushing this. Before I get into that, the spreadsheet, the first 26 coins that I spoke about on the channel. Had you invested $100 into each of these when I release videos about them and you're still holding that crypto, you'd be in profit for over 12 grand. Obviously, we are in a bear cycle and we've had multiple retracements. At one point, this spreadsheet looked at about 100 grand in, which was nice. Looked good. Now there's red. But anyway, for the last 6 months, I've been going on about building your list of coins that you're excited about long term. I've been doing that for a few years. Because the bear cycle is where the money's made. And I've gone over this in previous videos. You know, I've shown whether it was the NASDAQ or the gold market, the diamond market or the housing market, you know, whether it's been a recession or a bear cycle or both, usually both, you can see the bear cycle is the best time to invest. So that's why I've been saying build that list of coins. If you haven't yet, you can come to Copy My Crypto and see the coins that I've been getting excited about. I'm going to be sharing them. And the moment I think that any of those coins can 20x and start making those significant returns, I'm going to be investing, and obviously I'll be sharing those investments. So if you want to know what they are, click the link in the description and check it out. Right. So obviously TUSD, everyone knows about this by now. It's actually up on 161% today. But, you know, we saw that it was pretty stable, and then depegged. And never repegged. Recently, Carver's USDX has also done the same thing. To be fair, Carver's DX for the last for a couple of months was always around 96, 97 cents. Never really been bang on the dollar, but particularly in the last sort of 10 days, we've seen the depegging, and now it's quite significantly down. Fei actually has done okay. It depegged to about 97 cents at one point, but nothing awful. Neutrino had a huge depegging at one point around the same time, down to 74 cents. It has rallied back. It's not quite at the level it should be, but it's not far off. Again, never really hit the dollar mark. Now, the question is what, you know, why are we in search for this? So obviously UST collapsed massively, and we've seen a consistent run on algorithmic stablecoins or algos. And Jonathan Wu, who's the head of growth at Aztec Network, which is a layer 2 network, says that he doesn't believe it's the end. The algorithmic stablecoin is a holy grail. If you think about what an uncollateralized algorithmic stablecoin is, it's printing money out of thin air. There will always be capital chasing that dream, in my opinion, which he said on the Unchained podcast last week, which is a good podcast worth a listen. And he's right, but that's the problem. Now, you can create these algorithmic stablecoins. They can create money out of thin air, although most of the time it's collateralized with something in terms of by the individual that mints. But what Wu said effectively was, look, stablecoins are necessary to smooth out crypto's volatility, and if there's a cheaper way to do it, people will always attempt it. There's two stablecoin models, which are collateralized and uncollateralized. So collateralized stablecoins like USDC or Tether, which maintain financial reserves like currencies or bonds in bank accounts to ensure that the holders of these synthetic dollars can actually redeem for actual money at some point. Algos don't have this fail-safe. So they attempt to maintain their peg through other financial means, whether it's arbitrage, UST used an on-chain redemption tool, and Luna that propped up UST's value on change in supply demand. So Luna was burned or minted as UST rose or fell against the dollar. The purpose was to create a crypto native dollar with all of the supposed benefits of blockchains like censorship resistance that would be cheaper to use than a fully or partially collateralized option. But it is, when you actually did a bit of the back of the napkin math, as it was put, UST uses print synthetic dollar on Terra for about 20 cents. He compared that with DEI, which is a blockchain-based stablecoin maintained by MakerDAO that holds over-collateralized crypto reserves. And he said it costs $2 to use, so it's not profitable, it's not beneficial. And he's pointed out, look, I'm a venture capitalist. If I'm a venture capitalist, then I'm looking at this and saying, if I can create a monetary system that's 10 times more capital efficient, I'm willing to chase the dream over and over again. And it's true. And we're not going to see the end of algorithmic stablecoins. We're only going to see the growth. And where people are willing to risk, serious, or put DeFi at serious risk. But when you actually look at what's been destroyed, it's pretty significant. Like UST has had a couple deviations, but Terra was functioning fine. As after everything went tits up, obviously Terra's demonstrably weaker, and they're going to do a Terra 2. But if they're looking at doing algorithmic again, the problem you've got is you've got exploits and you've got ways to attack the system, and we've seen that in play. We also saw Magic Internet Money, Frax, and Neutrino, and obviously I've shown Neutrino, they're not immune because they're backed by volatile assets. So with herd behavior, algos are always vulnerable, and that's the problem. Like, you can have, even if they're backed by assets, they've got to be backed by stable assets. A stable asset is a dollar. Stable asset is collateralized debt. Stable, like, whether it's debt, like treasury debt or not. But, we saw DEI as well, DEI, fall to 54 cents during European trading hours. Do Kwon's previous project, Basis Cash, exploded, as did the algorithmic stablecoin Iron, which prompted Mark Cuban, who was obviously invested in it, to call for stablecoin regulation. And this is sort of the issue. So I can only see algorithmic stablecoins being pushed and being targeted in terms of developers, because if you can create this system that is financially efficient, then why wouldn't you? And every venture capitalist around the world is going to chase that dream. But you can't secure the systems. So this thing that happened with TUSD will happen again, and it will happen again, and it will happen again, and it will happen again. And the narrative that will be whipped up in media will only get worse. And the narrative that's whipped up is people lost lots of money. That's a fair narrative. It's true. But as it continues to happen, you've got queries about Ponzi schemes. You've got queries about scams. You've got these problems that intrinsically will be crypto-based. And it changes the narrative around crypto. Changes the narrative around the future of technology. We had an MP in the UK recently on Prime Minister's Questions, talking about TUSD and saying, it was a Ponzi scheme, but he actually said the crypto market's a Ponzi scheme. That's problematic. You don't want that association. You don't want crypto associated with failed algorithms. Whether it's failed because of incompetence or malfeasance is a different matter, but the result is still the same. And the only thing that we can see happening is is regulation for stablecoins. They have to be regulated in the mind's eye of the governments. Because this is the thing, you're choosing to, if you're creating like an algorithmic stablecoin, but it's pegged to, let's say, the dollar, you're taking a country's currency. You're using a country's currency. However you define it, they are, by rights, there to be involved. Like, they're to be involved. They're going because you've taken their currency. So they have a right to a say on what you do with it. And when you're pulling it out of thin air, there's going to be concerns from the governments or the Fed or the Treasury, because you've chosen to use their currency and create it out of thin air. So algorithmic stablecoins, while they may be the holy grail, then they are, from many people's eye, they're the first things that are going to have, probably the first things that are going to have really strong regulation against them, because it's so damaging to not only the underlying fiat currency, it's damaging to the actual space, and it's damaging to the individuals. And the biggest push around this regulation will be, we've got to save individuals from getting hurt. It's fair. It's a fair point, but it's going to be what masks harder regulation against the space. So it's an interesting time to be alive, watching all of this. If you're into algorithmic stablecoins, I'd be very, very cautious. I was in UST. I got out of there around 93 cents, which 7% loss, but I'm aware a lot of people got hit harder, and it can go, and it can go while you're asleep. And if it does that while you're asleep, and you wake up and it's 30 cents and you lost 70% of your money, it's tough to take. So if you're in algorithmic stablecoins, be cautious, know your risks. And that's it. Yeah, just a little chin wag. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification if you want to help the channel. If you don't, fair enough. And that's it from me. Hope you're all keeping well. If you're not prepared for your bear cycle, if you've not been doing your research, then you've still got time. Bear cycles last a reasonable amount of time. So get researching. If you don't have the time, the energy, come to Copy My Crypto. You can see the coins that I'm going to be getting into as I get into them. Anytime I think a coin can 20x or more, I'm going to be investing, and I'll be sharing those investments the moment I am prepared to pull the trigger. So if you want to know what they are, click the link in the description and check it out. That's it from me, guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.